The S&P 500 and the Nasdaq 100, you can see we're coming right into our previous highs once again. We're kind of getting rejected there so far. Now, again, we look at the Nasdaq and you look at this and it's a little bit of chop, but the better part of today was with semiconductors, and that's where all the love was. We kind of went over this heavily over the weekend and, basically into yesterday as well. Semiconductors, SMH make new all-time highs once again, and this love is continued and followed by things like NVIDIA, AMD, Micron. These are getting a lot of the love here on the day and continuation. Don't forget about QCOM, little old QCOM also doing very well. But again, when we go into something like SPY and we look at what's happening here on the S&P 500, you're still range bound, kind of just sitting here at highs, not getting a breakout. We look at QQQ, again, range bound at these highs. Still very impressive, still very bullish, but again, we cannot break out of our levels that we're establishing here. And that's kind of the concern here in the short term, okay? Now, a few levels we'll be watching here on Qs coming back down to 456.8, 457 roughly. The S&P specifically, as long as you hold above 524.6, I still like it, love it, want some more of it, right? So you still like that as well, okay? So these are definitely the levels you got to watch. The concerning part here is DIA with the Dow continually just pulling back here. That's 100% the concern. Now, we have a lot to kind of cover and go into today. A little bit of the economic calendar here as well. Again, going to give you the most important stuff here off of RIP, and I think that's what we have to cover, most importantly, right? Consumer confidence came in, again, great on the day. Home prices, slightly down. Nothing really to see there. But as far as Fed members talking here on the day, I will say before I go any further, though, into Fed members and things like that, this week, again, the biggest thing that we have Beige Book tomorrow, a little bit important, not that big, though. It's going to be core PCE prices with GDP primarily on Thursday, and then your core PCE actual data, the index, on Friday. So Thursday and Friday are our biggest days of the week. Now, Fed comments. This is why I always tell you guys with Fed comments, be careful what you listen to, except if it's from Jerome Powell. So Kashkari, he is probably one of the biggest hawks or bears out there, depending on how you look at the market, okay? And so Kashkari's tone is ever changing, just like every bear out there in the market right now. A month ago, he said rate cuts wouldn't happen in 2024. He doesn't see that happening. Today, if you go on our Twitter, you go on Twitter in general and look at our comments, things along those lines, we posted about it. Kashkari says he doesn't see no more than 2 rate cuts happening this year. Do you see how that's changing the narrative? He also said he doesn't see a rate hike on the table now, right? So this is ever changing. And it's important that when you hear these Fed members, you take it with a little bit of a grain of salt. Now, if Jerome Powell says something, I take it as gospel. It's the truth. He's not going to go. Jerome Powell doesn't go back and forth. He might, say this is concerning, this isn't concerning, this and that. But when it comes to rate cuts, he's very consistent with what he says, and he has been consistent over the past 2 years, no matter how much people may hate him or love him, okay? Now, on the other side of this, too, we look at SPY, we look at some of the volume here again. We still have an hour left in the day, 2 hours left in the day. I have to make this video kind of early. Again, you're at 16 million volume. You're looking to break some records as far as the lowest volume that we've had. I could see us coming in. I don't know if we're going to come in below 33 million. That was our lowest volume in, I think, like 3 years, 4 years on SPY. But we'll see. It was a long weekend. We'll see. Maybe volume, stays pretty pathetic. But it has been lackluster to say the least. Okay. Now going a little bit further back into equities and what we're looking at here. Let's be really quick to the point here, right? I still think you look fine on Nasdaq. You're sitting at highs. ES, if you want to get bullish, you got to break and hold above 53.33. You're sitting at that level. You've been rejected so far. The Dow, again, very, very weak, losing every level. The dollar, okay, you're still bouncing on your 200 daily moving average, finding some support there. We go down as well to the 30-year yield. You're finding support, breaking back up as well into our, our little bit of a SR level that's flipping here, okay? The other level is oil. We want to see how oil reacts. I've been talking a lot about oil. I think oil is one of the most important charts right now. Listen very closely. Okay, oil, you're sitting underneath the 200 daily moving average. And if you're like, Tyler, I do not care about oil. I want to hear about SPY and stocks I want to trade. Well, if oil continues to bouncing, it's back over the 200 SMA. It's a giant caution sign, broad market, okay? If it gets back above the 200 daily SMA, I'd be very concerned. sitting on my hands, especially going into summer with some of this other stuff coming out, because when oil bounces, typically leads to a resurgence of inflation. So we want to see how we react down here, but you're still at the 200 SMA so far, so there's no real reason to be super concerned. Bitcoin over the weekend looked fine. The thing I'm watching most is Ethereum. Ethereum over 4,000 is all signs go, go, go. Slap it, love it, go long at that point in time. But that's where we're sitting at right now.
And now let's briefly talk about my favorite investing app and the sponsor of today's video. If you're interested in trading the exact same broker in which I'm using for options and what I'm doing market research on, this is exactly who I'm using. This is Moomoo. This is their platform on their desktop. You can also check it out for the mobile app as well. This is their live news feed. And if you're thinking about making the switch, right now is a pretty good time because right now they're doing a 1.5% cash reward up to $300 if you transfer in. Or if you're just getting started and you want to kickstart your journey, Moomoo is giving you 5 in each of the Magnificent 7 stocks when you make a qualified bonus. You can go down and scroll and see all of this. It's right there on their website. Check them out. The link is down below.
Okay, now stock wise, what we're going into now, going into Friday's close, the best looking thing obviously was Nvidia. Like, we talked about it. We had a great close. You ended at all-time highs. You gapped up today, but you had more opportunities here on the day, and this is what we were looking for, right? Ascending triangle, breaking out, went pushing like 1150. Awesome. But something that I kept saying was AMD, right? The sympathy play for Nvidia was getting buyers. What did they do? You had to break above 168.5 to get going. Our key level was at 174.7. You got into 174.6. So those were the big winners here on the day. Also, too, to let you guys know, the Discord will be open on the 1st. So make sure if you're interested, you check it out. But again, like, this is where I'm trading this stuff all day long as well. So again, the biggest surprise from the day was something like AVGO just, not moving at all. But you go to names like Micron. Again, you retested previous all-time highs down here, 130.5, pushing back up highs. QCOM gapping up again, pulled back, but then bounced right back. So again, semiconductors as a whole, as I said, with SMH carrying kind of the market today. And again, it looks really, really good. Broad markets there. Now, a few things I do want to touch on today. As far as news that came out with the market and news that I've been watching broad markets, okay? Number one, Israel, Egypt. And I want to be really clear about this with what's happening there. I'm not saying that this is going to happen, we're going to dump and this and that, but you need to be paying attention because I think all this stuff has been relative no matter how much you agree or don't agree, disagree. It's just been relative. So over the weekend, there was like a little bit of conflict between the Egyptian and Israeli border, whatever was happening there, and an Egyptian soldier was killed. Important to acknowledge what's happening there. If this escalates, again, it's a giant warning sign for the stock market. So if this escalates, I anticipate selling on the market. I'm going to tell you right now. Okay, I don't know if it will, but keep your head on a swivel there. The other part of this, Apple with China. Again, most of these Google searches are very simple for you guys to look up for yourself, but yeah. So this was pretty surprising news coming out this morning. You had Apple's sales getting a nice rebound from China, okay? So you saw 52% boost in shipments over foreign brand smartphones, according to the Chinese Academy of Information, which we all know China's can be very respectable and trustworthy, okay? So anyways, in April, giant increase of sales. Is it in anticipation to the AI, what's coming with the phones? Who knows? We'll see. But again, I've said it plenty of times, I'm not a huge fan of trading Apple when you're in the upward 190s. You're hitting our key levels you're rejecting so far. But if you come back down to 190 here, maybe even 180, 187 is the big level, I see the buying opportunity, okay? Especially on a name like Apple. Big fan there. Also, too, Apple WW, is it IC, DC, whatever it is? Okay, it was just announced. It's not even going to show up on the news reports. You just had major news that their new WWDC coming out June 10th, the big Apple conference, is going to be heavily in favor of AI and what they're doing there. Now, again, these are two things, in my opinion, that can get Apple to push all-time highs. One, China. I told you guys on Twitter, if you don't follow me on Twitter, I recommend doing so. But I told you guys this morning, right before market open, this has been the catalyst for Apple being bearish and pulling Apple back every single time this year. It's China sales. China getting back in the game here, China showing love here for Apple's products is extremely bullish for Apple, okay? Not only is China coming back in the market for them, but also they're getting into India. This could change everything when it goes into their next earnings call. So things you should be looking at. So Apple's dip here, I'm not saying to YOLO, buy, whatever, but it looks more appetizing than ever. I will say that if they handle, and again, I hate to even say it, but if they do this right, I don't see how they don't push all-time highs. So in a week, 2 weeks, you might be saying, Tyler, thank you, or Tyler, yeah, Apple sucks. Thanks for nothing, right? So again, things I'd be looking at there. Broad market as well. Another big name, and I keep forgetting to mention it to you guys, but I am telling you right now, ENPH, in phase, guys, in phase. And I'm happy. I'm actually happy it didn't run today. I'm happy. In phase is a sleeping giant. So I'm going to go really quickly to about the weekly chart so you can see here, but let's look real quick. Okay, and the level right here comes back from right there, the swing lows. Okay. You're sitting on top of your level. I think in phase looks good. And hopefully this video, I'll probably drop it a little bit earlier today. I don't even know, but we'll see. In phase is at your major level. It's a major level is watching back here. You're trying to get above. You're above your 200 daily moving average. Your 200 weekly is way up here. First target is 152. Number one. That's my first target. What I'd be watching. You can see also to your POCs down here. So really funny that you're obviously mounting on top of that. I'm going really far back here, but even when I bring the data all the way back here, literally for 3 years, you can still see there's not a lot of liquidity there, guys. There's not a lot of liquidity. Now, when I move it to more recent action, which is what I would generally recommend people do, you can see there's literally no liquidity in this range. Again, and you're getting above your POC. So if I'm trying to attack something like in phase, I'm going to tell you right now, in phase, you could trade stock and still make 30% on this if it gets the move we're anticipating. But on top of this, and you're looking at in phase, well, what else looks good here, Tosh? Sell me a little bit more. FSLR, First Solar. First Solar had great news the past 2 weeks, and you're seeing the Biden administration push more into this agenda as well of clean energy. First Solar broke all-time highs, went insane, went bananas. So again, in phase, a little bit of a sympathy play here. I still love it above 129 if it can hold, 130 preferably. But again, 152, 170 over the next few weeks, especially if the market can get some love. But again, everything is contingent on the market getting continuation, right? So again, I'm not looking saying, oh, I'm going to go long on in phase while, oh man, dear God, the SPY is getting hit. The SPY is getting destroyed here, right? So I'm definitely have to pay attention to indexes, what's happening on broad markets before I can move into X, Y, and Z, right? Now, if we start breaking back below 524.6, I'll probably look at some downside trades, look at some weaker names in the market. But until then, I have to remain bullish and remain trading the overall trend in front of us, okay? So it's very important that you are able to acknowledge where the market is and where you're trading right now. So again, if we're at all-time highs, that's where I'm looking for continuation right now, right? Those are things that I have to be looking for, especially going back into some of this data that's coming out later in the week. We know GDP is probably going to come out higher than expected. We have to know that. Jobless claims, those should be, if that comes in higher than expected, well, also good news. Going into PCE, if inflation, say, data starts to drop like we saw at PPI, again, these are all catalysts across the boards that are very bullish for the market. So again, it's important that we're keeping our head on a swivel. We're not YOLOing in these. And one of the biggest things I've been saying to Discord is, like, for myself over the past 3 weeks, it's been a great 3 to 4 weeks trading. But anytime that I've held things too long, that's when I've kind of gotten caught, right? So a lot of this stuff is like, take the money and run when you get the action. Like AMD today, I took profits a little. I took it before T2, but I took profits a little bit early because I just been screwed lately. But then again, yeah, the next push up. Nvidia, same type of scenario here. Great push up. But again, just understand what's working for you, where you're at in your strategy, and overall what's happening here in the market. I think you have to be taking some of your profits here. I think you're getting killed on IV a little bit on some of these extended plays. But nonetheless, I still like where we're at. I like how we're moving. Still very bullish, broad markets. And overall, I'm very happy with what we've been doing. Okay. Also, too, guys, I forgot to mention, a little late. I don't even know if everyone's still staying here. But again, if you are interested in our indicators, our link is down below for Lux Algo. Code OD40 for 40% off. Check it out. Have a good one, traders. See you guys tomorrow. Best of luck trading.